Hi, welcome to the G2 Gallery podcast. I'm Jared. Today we're interviewing one of our Nature LA artists, Lisa Gizara. Lisa, thank you so much for coming in. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So I want to start off by talking about your work on television. That seems to be it's a huge thing to have that happen.
Yeah.
So explain to me how the first time you were offered and how that went about.
I work in a studio in Venice, and the studio next to me had this lovely girl in there who was a painter. And 5 years ago, I would see her painting in the driveway, and I said, "Wow, where do you put all this work?" And she said, "Well, actually, it's on Friends. A lot of it's on Friends." And I said, "Well, that's amazing. How did that happen?" And she said, "Well, this great curator named Marina from artpick2000.com has a gallery and warehouse in North Hollywood that all of the set designers and art directors go to when they're doing films, commercials, and television and music videos. And she caters to them. And I had 25 years of painting and photography sitting in files or in storage. And I thought, well, that would be a great passive income instead of it sitting in storage or even in my halls at my apartment building. Why not bring them to her? And that's how it started. So over the past 5 years, my work has been really shown a great deal. And then the pinnacle was when my work is on Mad Men, just as of last season.
What's interesting about Mad Men is that they're so particular about what the feel of the photographs are. I mean, they're very detail oriented. Were you surprised at all that you fit into that 60s era, because that season was like 64, 65?
Well, to be clear, my paintings are on Mad Men.
Sorry, yes, your paintings.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And my favorite painters and my gods and goddesses from that era are William de Kooning and Joan Mitchell, Mark Rothko, Franz Klein, and they're my heroes. And I've been an abstract expressionist since I graduated from with a BFA in painting from SMU.
Can you give me maybe a time or a moment when painting or photography, either or, really helped you digest something going on in your life or in the world?
Oh, that's been forever.
Sure.
That's been forever. I mean, just going through adolescence and all those questions. I grew up in a very small town. You kind of had to create your own projects and do your own thing. It wasn't the era of everybody driving the kids to soccer and driving the kids to Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. My sister and I were raised very independently and given a lot of freedom to sort of discover the world on our own. And I remember becoming 12 or 13 and starting to have all those questions about life that are heavy that you've never had before, and literally going out into a field and drawing or painting. And that sort of quieted the chatter.
Yeah.
And gave me an outlet. And I realized that I was able to express my angst or my questions and get it out of my system creatively.
In an article you did about, I think it was with the Huffington Post, about your Mad Men work, you talked about it being a men's world, that art is still a man's world, and you feel like that perhaps people feel like your work has less value when they find out that you're a woman. Is that something that has always sort of hindered you, or in that sense, do you feel like that's something that is felt in your work?
Yes, I do. I mean, we're still in a patriarchal society. It's still a shock if a woman runs for president. It's still a shock if, God forbid, a African American gets to be a president. I mean, if we're still that backward with the way we treat men, African American men or minorities, you know that women are right behind that. I've always felt, and it may be my ego talking, so forgive me, that if I was a man, I would have been far more successful far earlier. When I did approach galleries when I was younger, you know, I'm kind of petite, I'm blonde, I'm very friendly, I tend to be very open. For whatever reason, and a woman, and for whatever reason, being those things seems to devalue you or have people judge you. Well, how is this young girl doing this artwork, and this artwork can't be that good if this young girl's doing it. It's like this this cyclical thing. Now that I'm older and I've been doing it a lot longer, I think that really helps. I'm not so young. I'm not so petite.
Yeah.
I've been around the block. I don't really deal with people acting badly around me. I won't deal with it. And it's an inner strength. And I think men, the men that do govern the things that I've tried to get into, whether it be a gallery or whatnot, see more of strength in an older woman.
What would you say to a young female photographer in their 16 or 17 starting out? What advice would you give her?
I would say to constantly be taking pictures, which is way easier now that we don't have film.
Yeah.
It's cost prohibitive to say that to someone who's 16 who only can buy 5 rolls of film in a year. But with digital, if you've got a digital camera, even if it's a point and shoot, even if it's your iPhone, photograph everything, because honestly, it takes years and years and years to figure out what you want to shoot, to create a theme, and to have a body of work from that theme.
Well, thank you so much. This is Jared from the G2 Gallery. Please tune in. We'll have more podcasts coming to you. Thank you. All thoughts and opinions expressed in this interview were that of the interviewee and not of the G2 Gallery.